This is a story about a mid-2000s case that took almost 6 years to solve due to unclear motives and scattered evidence. The accused, Jason Young, was a salesman known for his inconsistent relationships with women. The victim, Michelle Young, was a successful woman with a career in law and economics. This tragic story involved a love triangle, betrayal, and an overlooked warning sign. Let's start with Jason Young. Born in 1974 in Brevard, North Carolina, not much is known about his early life. After high school, he attended a prestigious state university in Raleigh, the capital of his home state. After graduation, he got a job as a salesman for a large retail chain. At work, Jason was seen as a reliable and promising employee. However, his friends knew him as someone who was inconsistent and changeable, especially in his relationships with women. He was known to be a bit of a ladies' man, something he seemed to take pride in. Then there's Michelle Marie Young. Born Michelle Fisher in New York in February 1977, she grew up close to her younger sister Meredith. Their mother, Linda, was very involved in their lives, supporting them and nurturing their talents. From a young age, Michelle was interested in law and economics and dreamed of a career in this field. After high school, she applied to several universities and was accepted into one in North Carolina's capital. She studied hard at the Faculty of Economics and Law, earning a master's degree. After graduation, she landed a high-ranking job at a leading accounting firm in the state. Michelle was self-sufficient, earning a good income, and had big plans for her future. On her 24th birthday, Michelle decided to celebrate at a trendy spot in town, surrounded by her close friends and colleagues. They were having a great time when a stranger accidentally knocked a cocktail out of Michelle's hand. The guy, Jason Young, quickly apologized and bought her another drink. He was instantly smitten by Michelle and joined their table. He kept the conversation light, cracked jokes, and tried to be engaging. By the end of the night, he asked her out. Michelle was equally charmed by Jason and thought it was a birthday gift from fate itself. So she happily agreed to the date. As they started spending more time together, they found out they had a lot in common. They went to the same university, cheered for the same hockey team, and even loved the same band. Sparks flew, and they soon started dating. But they weren't ready to move in together or tie the knot just yet. When Jason and Michelle started dating, Jason was still living with his parents in Brevard and would only see Michelle in Raleigh on weekends or during work trips. One day, Michelle told him she was pregnant. This was a shock as they were both focused on their careers and weren't ready for a baby. Jason was upfront about his feelings, but Michelle decided to keep the baby. After a month of thinking, Jason moved to Raleigh to be with Michelle. They got married a few months later, not out of love or because of the baby, but because Michelle didn't have health insurance. Their daughter, Cassidy Elizabeth, was born in spring 2004. Michelle dove into family life with help from her mom and sister. Her family was cautious around Jason, but avoided conflicts. They moved into their own house in a peaceful part of the city that year. Michelle's mom, Linda, noticed tension in the family. Jason was quick-tempered and would often cause a scene, but Michelle always tried to keep the peace. When Cassidy was 2, Michelle got pregnant again. She nervously told Jason, who seemed happy about it. They drove to Brevard to share the news with Jason's parents. On their way back, Jason lost control of the car and they crashed into a ravine. They were okay, but Michelle miscarried due to stress. Jason's calm reaction to everything seemed suspicious. Linda later said that the accident was a bad omen. They had a friend, Michelle Manny, from their university days. Jason ran into her during a work trip in spring 26 and they invited her over. Manny complained about her unhappy marriage and kept praising Jason, which didn't alarm Michelle. But Jason saw it as a call to action. Jason Young and Michelle Manny started off as friends, but their relationship quickly escalated beyond just friendly banter. They began to sneak out to see each other, with Jason often covering up his absences with work-related excuses. When Michelle announced her second pregnancy in the summer of 26, Jason was far from thrilled. His wife was left confused, attributing his distant behavior to a recent miscarriage. Jason, on the other hand, was contemplating how to escape his marriage with minimal damage. In November, when Michelle was 5 months pregnant, Jason embarked on another business trip. He drove 300 miles away but booked a hotel halfway. That evening, Michelle confided in her best friend about her marital issues over the phone. After their chat, she put her daughter to bed and fell asleep. Jason arrived at the hotel around 10 p.m., claiming to be exhausted. However, he spent his time studying the hotel's layout and security cameras, crafting a foolproof alibi for his planned crime. In the early morning, Jason called Meredith, Michelle's sister, under the pretense of needing help with a surprise anniversary gift for Michelle. Despite her reservations about Jason, Meredith agreed to help. She arrived at Michelle's house and entered through a secret door in the garage. The house was eerily quiet, and Michelle's belongings were still in the hallway. Upon entering the bedroom, Meredith found a horrifying scene. Michelle lay on the floor by the bed, her skull fractured and surrounded by her own blood. Sadly, it was too late to help Michelle, who had been dead for hours. Meredith called emergency services and then discovered Cassidy, Michelle's daughter, hiding under the bed. The little girl was unharmed but clearly terrified, having witnessed her mother's death. Forensic experts later found numerous injuries on Michelle's body, indicating a prolonged and brutal attack. Her teeth were knocked out, and her skull was fractured with a blunt object, which was never found. A bloody pillow next to the body suggested she had been smothered. Nothing was stolen from the house, indicating that the intruder had one goal: murder. There were no signs of forced entry at the crime scene, suggesting that the culprit either had a key or knew about the secret door, which was only known to family members. Naturally, the spouse of the deceased Jason became the prime suspect. However, he had a seemingly solid alibi. He claimed that he had checked into his hotel room and stayed there until the next morning when he left for a business meeting. A check confirmed that Jason had used his room key card to enter in the evening and to exit in the morning. But the investigation revealed several oddities and inconsistencies. For instance, a hotel employee found the emergency exit open and propped up with a cobblestone to prevent it from closing. When investigators checked the surveillance camera pointed at that door, they discovered that the camera had been deliberately disabled on the night of the crime, about half an hour after Jason checked into his room. The strangeness didn't stop there. During the night, a man resembling Jason was spotted at a gas station located between the hotel and the crime scene. When asked to provide identification as per the rules, he paid in cash, didn't wait for change, and quickly left. The gas station attendant later identified Jason at the inquest, but Jason continued to deny everything, insisting that he had spent the night in his hotel room. The day before the tragedy, Jason made numerous calls to Michelle and his mistress, suggesting he was in a state of panic. Despite his claim of staying in the hotel all night, these calls were made outside the hotel. He also arrived late and seemed disoriented at a business meeting. However, none of this evidence conclusively proved that Jason had killed his pregnant wife. For nearly 3 years, Jason continued his life as usual, even gaining custody of his young daughter, much to the dismay of his late wife's relatives. His relationship with Manny, a former friend of Michelle, became public, raising suspicions about his involvement in the crime. Jason was arrested in late 2009, but the jury couldn't reach a consensus despite substantial evidence against him. The case was reopened in 2012 with additional evidence and witness testimonies. Witnesses reported seeing Jason's distinctive white car parked near his house on the night of the murder. A child psychologist testified about Cassidy's disturbing doll play, where she mimicked her father hurting her mother. Manny testified in court, admitting her affair with Jason and his unhappiness in his marriage. Another former mistress revealed her fear of Jason's violent outbursts. After a lengthy trial, Jason was found guilty of brutally assaulting his pregnant wife and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of release. He filed appeals in 2014 and 2018, both of which were denied. Cassidy, now effectively orphaned, is being raised by her aunt and maternal grandparents. That brings us to the end of this chilling story. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more shocking stories.